What if I told you that the single greatest point of financial confusion in the modern church is not about tithing, but about a simple, powerful financial tool? A tool that, when misunderstood, has the power to enslave, but when mastered through biblical wisdom, has the power to build, to free, and to fund the Great Commission on a scale we've barely imagined. For generations, we've rightly been warned from the pulpit about the dangers of debt. We can all quote Proverbs 22:7. The borrower is slave to the lender. This verse has been a lifeline, a warning cry that has saved countless families from the crushing weight of mismanaged finances. But what if, in our zeal to protect the flock from the wolf of destructive debt, we've inadvertently fenced them out of a vast, fertile pasture of opportunity? What if we've thrown out the tool with the trash? Today we are going on a journey. We are going to dismantle the myth that all debt is sin and rebuild a robust biblical theology of leverage, a theology that understands debt not as a four-letter word, but as a potential instrument in the hands of a wise and faithful steward. This isn't about the world's get-rich-quick scheme. This is about God's build long-term strategy. It's about moving from a poverty mindset that fears resources to a stewardship mindset that commands them for a higher purpose. Let's start by diagnosing the problem with precision. The debt that rightly terrifies us is consumption debt. This is the debt of instant gratification. It's using a high-interest credit card to finance a lifestyle that exceeds our income. It's the car loan on a rapidly depreciating asset that loses value the moment it leaves the lot. It's the student loan for a degree that doesn't lead to a viable career, trapping a young person in a decade of payments. This kind of debt is a cruel taskmaster. It sows anxiety, steals sleep, and strangles generosity. It forces you to live in the future, paying for the past and completely missing the present provision of God. It is, in its essence, a form of slavery, and the Bible's warnings against it are fierce and unambiguous. But to categorize all debt under this one terrifying umbrella is a profound error. It's like saying all fire is bad because arson exists, and therefore we should never use a forge to shape a plowshare or light a furnace to warm an orphanage. We must make a critical distinction. The other category, the one we so rarely discuss, is productive debt or investment debt. This is not about consuming, it's about creating. This is the strategic use of borrowed capital to acquire an asset that has the potential to generate income, appreciate in value, or create more opportunity than the cost of the debt itself. Think of it as the difference between a leak and a pipeline. Consumption debt is a leak in your financial bucket, constantly draining your resources. Investment debt, when used correctly, is like installing a pipeline into your bucket, creating a new, flowing stream of resources. Now let's build our biblical case. We find our foundation not in a Wall Street journal, but in the parable of the talents in Matthew 25. A master entrusts his wealth to 3 servants. He gives one 5 talents, one 2, and one 1 talent. The servants with 5 and 2 talents don't just protect the money. The Greek language implies they traded with it, put it to work. They engaged in commerce. They took a calculated risk. They leveraged the master's resources to generate a return. The servant who buried his talent out of fear was not praised for his caution. He was condemned for his slothfulness and his wickedness. His fundamental sin was a distorted view of the master. He said, "I knew that you are a hard man." He saw his master as harsh and demanding, not as an empowering investor. His fear paralyzed his faithfulness. The master's praise, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness," was a reward for initiative, for fruitfulness, for leveraging what was entrusted to them to create more. So, let's ask the piercing question. What has your master entrusted to you? It may not be gold coins, but perhaps it's a good credit score, a stable job, a capacity to save, a mind for numbers, or a network of relationships. Is the most faithful response to bury these things in the ground, never to be touched for fear of loss? Or is it to prayerfully, strategically ask, "Master, how can I put these resources to work for your kingdom?" How can I leverage my access to capital to generate a greater return for your eternal purposes? When you use investment debt wisely, you are acting like the faithful servants. You are saying, I trust not in the debt, but in the God who gave me the wisdom to use it. I will be a conduit, not a cul-de-sac for your resources. Let's move from theology to tangible application. How does this look in the real world? Let's explore two powerful, accessible examples. First, real estate and the power of leverage. This is where most people can begin to understand this principle. But consider the second option. You use that $50,000 as a 20% down payment on a $250,000 rental property. You are now controlling a $250,000 asset. If that same 5% appreciation occurs, you've gained $12,500 in equity. On your initial $50,000 investment, that's a 25% return. The leverage has magnified your stewardship fivefold, but it gets better. If you structure the deal correctly, the rental income from a tenant should cover your mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. This means the tenant is paying down your loan for you, building your equity with every payment, while the property appreciates. You are using the bank's capital to acquire an asset and the tenant's payments to own it. This isn't a slick scheme. It's a principle of wise finance that has built multi-generational wealth for families who then use that wealth for profound good. The second example is business and ministry entrepreneurship. Almost every world-changing enterprise, from the printing press that spread the Bible to the modern ministries feeding the hungry, required capital to start. Using a business loan to launch a company that solves a real problem, serves your community, creates ethical jobs, and generates a profit is a godly use of leverage. You are creating value from an idea. You are being a co-creator with God, bringing order and solution to the world. The profit from that business is not an end. It's fuel. It's fuel for expansion, for higher salaries for your employees, and for radical generosity. A profitable, kingdom-minded business can fund more ministry than a dozen bake sales. But, and I want you to hear this with the gravity it deserves, this entire philosophy is a double-edged sword. It is not a green light for recklessness. It is a hurricane damages the roof. What if your business's biggest client leaves? Your plan must have margins of safety, financial buffers that allow you to survive the storms without collapsing. If your plan is so fragile that one piece of bad news destroys it, it is not a plan guided by the spirit of wisdom. The litmus test of peace. This is the distinctively Christian component. As you pray, plan, and prepare, you must monitor the peace in your heart. Colossians 3:15 says, "Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts." The word rule here means to act as an umpire. Does this decision bring a deep, abiding, unexplainable peace that transcends the logical risk? Or does it bring anxiety, confusion, and a sense of rushing? God is not the author of confusion. If peace is not the umpire calling the shots, you must pause. This isn't about a feeling. It's about a fruit of the Spirit guiding your steps. Using debt without this rigorous framework is not faith. It's foolishness. It's testing God, and it often ends in disaster that not only hurts you but brings reproach upon the name of Christ. So we come to the ultimate question. Why? What is the telos, the end goal of all this? For the world, the goal is financial independence and self-indulgence. For the steward, the goal is increased responsibility and radical generosity. When you use debt wisely to build wealth, you are not building a personal kingdom. You are expanding your stewardship portfolio. You are moving from managing one talent to managing 5. And with that increased capacity comes a greater ability to be a blessing. This wealth becomes a tool for generational discipleship, creating a financial foundation that allows your children and grandchildren to pursue God's calling without being shackled by student debt or financial desperation. It funds Christian education and creates a legacy of faithfulness. Strategic gospel advancement. You become a lender to nations by funding microloan programs in the developing world. You can underwrite the cost of translating the Bible for an unreached people group. You can fund church plants in spiritually dark areas. Crisis response and compassion. When a natural disaster strikes or a family in your church faces a medical bankruptcy, you have the liquid resources to be the hands and feet of Jesus immediately, without going into debt yourself. Marketplace reformation. By building ethical, profitable businesses, you create environments where people can work with dignity. You model Christ-like leadership, and you inject kingdom values into the economic bloodstream of your city. This is the grand vision. You are not building a mansion, you are building a pipeline. You are making yourself a clean, efficient, and generous conduit through which God's resources can flow to a hurting and lost world. This is a journey of a lifetime. It requires a renewed mind, a disciplined character, and a community of like-minded stewards. If this message is resonating with you, if it's challenging deep-seated fears and igniting a holy ambition to be more for the kingdom, then you are who we are here to serve. We are I Am Rich Media, and our mission is to equip you with this exact kind of bold, biblical, and practical financial wisdom. We believe the church should be the most generous, innovative, and financially wise people on the planet. If this teaching has brought you clarity and hope, would you partner with us to get this message out? There are 3 powerful ways you can stand with us right now. First, your engagement fuels this mission. Click the like button. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this content is valuable and helps us reach pastors, parents, and pioneers who need this message. And to make sure you never miss a step on this journey, please subscribe to the I Am Rich Media channel and tap the notification bell. We are building a movement of faithful stewards, and we want you in the family. Second, we have an in-depth resource for you. In the video description below, you'll find a link to download our book, The Steward's Journey, Managing God's Money with Faith and Peace, a compassionate step-by-step guide to biblical finances. The Steward's Journey is your compassionate guide to a transformative new relationship with money. This isn't another cold, clinical budgeting book. This is a heartfelt invitation to discover the profound joy and peace that comes from managing God's resources, His way. Third, if you are in a position to support this work financially, it would mean the world to us. Creating deeply researched, high-production content like this requires significant resources. If God has put it on your heart, you can now directly support our ministry through our new Ko-fi page. Think of it as buying us a coffee to keep the lights on and the cameras rolling. The link is in the description. https ko-fi.com I Am Rick Media. Every single contribution, no matter the size, is a blessing and a partnership in this mission. Your financial life is a story. It can be a story of fear, lack, and limitation. Or, through the application of God's wisdom, it can become an epic tale of faith, leverage, and generational impact. Let's be the faithful servants who dare to believe our Master for more. Let's be the ones who hear, "Well done," because we had the courage to wisely leverage everything we were given for the glory of the one who gave it all. Thank you for your time, your faith, and your partnership. God bless you. We'll see you in the next video.